नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्तुत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तुष्टवादानि विधुनोति सुरिशतं नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवते सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भाविति नैष्टिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्घयते गिरिं यत्किपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरं परमानन्दमाधवम्. Thanks everyone for joining. So today's chapter is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Text 11 and 12. So I'll start with Text 11. नाथमान ऋषिर्भीतः सप्त बद्रिः कृताञ्जलि स्तुविता तं विकल्पया वाचा यनो दरे पितः. Translation: The living entity in this prideful condition of life, bound by 7 layers of material ingredients, prays with folded hands, appealing to the Lord who has put him in that condition. Purport: It is said that when a woman is having labor pains, she promises that she will never again become pregnant and suffers from such a severely painful condition. Similarly, when one is undergoing some surgical operation, he promises that he will never again act in such a way as to become diseased and have to undergo medical surgery. Or when one fails, or when one falls into danger, he promises that he will never again make the same mistake. Similarly, the living entity, when put into a hellish condition of life, prays to the Lord that he will never again commit sinful activities and have to put into the womb for repeated birth and death. In the hellish condition within the womb, the living entity is very much afraid of being born again. But when he is out of the womb, when he is in full life and good health, he forgets everything and commits again and again the same sins for which he was put into that horrible condition of existence. Text 12. Janturuvacha tasya pasanam avitum jagat icha yatam nana tanur bhuvi characharana soham brajami saranam yakuto bhayam me yenendrosi kati adasi asato nurupa. Translation: The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in these various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. Purport: The word Chalacharabindam, the Chalacharabindam refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who actually walks on travels upon the surface of the world. For example, Lord Ramachandra actually walked on the surface of the world, and Lord Krishna also walked just like an ordinary man. The prayers is therefore offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who descends to the surface of this earth or any part of this universe for the protection of the pious and the destruction of the impious. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that when there is an increase of hate religion and discrepancies arises in the real religious activities, the Supreme Lord comes to protect the pious and kill the impious. This verse indicates Lord Krishna. Another significant point in this verse is that Lord comes Ichaya by his own will, as Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. I appear at my will by my internal potency. He is not forced to come by the laws of matter nature. It is stated here, Ichaya. He does not assume any form as the impersonalist think, because he comes at his own will, and the form in which he descends is his eternal form. As the Supreme Lord puts the living entity into the condition of horrible existence, he can also deliver him. And therefore, once you seek shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna demands, give up everything and surrender unto me. And it is also said in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who approaches him does not come back again to accept a form in material existence, but goes back to Godhead, back home, never to return. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Smarte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Thanks everyone for joining and giving me the opportunity to speak on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31. So the Chapter 31 is called as Lord Kapila's instruction on the movements of the living entities. And this specific sloka we are going to discuss is from basically talks about the known as prayers of the baby in the womb of the mother. Okay, so the science of embryo development, right? This gives unique information on the development of the embryo, which was written down in the Vedic scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam more than 5,000 years ago. The scientists have only recently discovered how the embryo develops using advanced equipment. Still, the scientists who do not fully understand the details which have been available in Vedic scripture for more than 5,000 years. So the question is, who arranges this for the soul to enter the womb of a particular mother? So, so one thing is, based upon the pious and impious activities, if the soul is performing the pious activities, right, or he's believing in the karma kanda section of the Vedas, so what is going to happen? So Lord Krishna says, Uddhagatsai means he'll go to the upper planetary system, maybe in the heavenly planets he'll go, and once his bank balance or once his pious activities is completed, so he has to again fall down to this material world. So, so that fall down happens through the, to the rain, and then the rain it comes to the land, cultivation land, and it's become from the rain the grain sprouts, right, and that particular grain is eaten by one male, and then when he impregnates one woman, so then that time only what happened, the soul transfer from one body to so from the man to the woman. Okay, so that's the process of so then the soul comes into existence in the womb of the mother. So that is the one process. And also it is mentioned in this basically the personality of God has said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of this work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume particular type of body based on actions taken by souls in their previous karma. Okay, Lord Krishna arranges for each soul to enter the womb of a mother in a particular universe, on a particular planet, in this particular country, in a particular city, right? In a particular street, in a particular house, to a particular mother, exactly based on what the soul deserves. Okay, based upon his the activities. So, um, in the previous sloka, like it's very nice to describe, how the month-wise development of the child in the womb of a mother. So it mentioned like from the day 1 to day 30, for a month was the development. Mentioned that the sperm and the ovum mix, and then it forms a bubble kind of things, right? And then it becomes the plum, then it becomes the lump, right? So that's a past development. Then also it mentioned from the month 1 to month 3, right? That's the period. So what happens? So the head is formed of the jivas. Then month 4 to 6, what happens? So the seven essential ingredients of the body, namely the blood, flesh, fat, bone, marrow, semen, comes into existence. So what I'm discussing is, so this has been already been described 5,000 years ago in Srimad Bhagavatam. So now if you look at the doctors or the YouTubes or something, if you look at videos that say that, okay, so this is the process. There is some animation also existing in the different social media. So then what happened? In the month 6 and onward, the fetus grows and remain in the abominable existence and the residence of stool and urine, which is breeding place for all kinds of worms, right? So that happens month 6 and onwards. So then what happens? Because now what happened? The soul inside the womb of the mother, actually Prabhupada mentioned, or this Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam mentioned that the soul is in the pure consciousness in the womb of the mother, right? And that time when he was in terrible pain because the womb bites him inside the womb of the mother. So that's what happened when the worm bites, or sometimes the mother eats some kind of bittery food, right, or the pungent something kind of food, or something, or alcohol, something like that. So then that's really pains the child in the womb of the mother, and that time the soul prays to the Lord. So the soul prays to the Lord, mentioned from the chapter sloka 331, 12 to 21, almost 10 sloka. So this 10 sloka in the it will come in this 10 sloka basically known as the prayers of the soul in the womb of the mother, right? So it's due to the contact with the material body that soul forgets its original constitutional position of being eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge. As part of the Supreme Lord or Krishna, the knowledgeable soul prays while in the womb, right? So that's what happens. And then month 9 to onwards, the child thus falls on the ground after delivery. So right now you can understand when the soul was inside the womb of the mother, he was in full consciousness. That's why in the womb he was praying to the Supreme Lord Krishna, please save me from this danger. So after he comes out to this material world, after he falls down, so what happened? He completely forgot. He was just like Srimad Bhagavatam mentioned, when the child comes out on the womb of the mother, smeared with the stool and blood, and prayed just like an worm germinated from the stool. Okay, because he loses his superior knowledge and cries under the spell of Maya. So that soul, all the good consciousness he has, he completely lost because the spell of Maya. So right now, the soul born, the child born out, from the mother, he is nothing but just an animal baby. So then once the body comes out of the from the womb, the superior knowledge the soul has is covered by the illusory energy of the Lord Krishna called Maya, and that's why that's why what happened? The soul forget the past lives. So in this world, human beings do not remember God, and he's suffering in the womb of mother. The fact that This prayer is sung by every living entity in the womb of the mother is collaborated here. When you say that there is no God, that means there is no concept of the controller. So if you say you are 30 years old or 40 years old or 50 years old, so which means that in 30 years or 40 years or 50 years, you have definitely prayed to the Lord in the womb of the mother. So that's a proof of Bhagavatam, you know. So so which means that every soul either is a atheist or he is a theist. So he definitely have prayed to the Lord in the womb of the mother. So when we came to this world and after association of devotees, reading the Prabhupada's book or reading scriptures or heard from someone else, we came to know that God has many avatars, the incarnations, and He descends to this material world on different manvantars, right? But in the womb, the soul, but in the womb, the soul praying to the Lord to save him from the suffering. So the human form of life is so precious, as from the beginning, the soul has some knowledge of God and he is conscious about. But the nature of arrangement of material nature or the Lord, he forgets everything. So when the body came out from the womb, he is just like an animal as he forgets everything. Same living entity who was praying to the Lord now forgets everything. The living entity basically in this world get sukha or a happiness because of his pious activities, sukha or dukha, you know. Uh, so that's happened because of his pious and impious karma. So I think if you see one person is so opulent in this material world right now at this moment, so which means nothing he has done in this life. Everything he derives from his past life. Okay. So whatever you collect the karma in this life, you're going to utilize in the next life. So that's the as per the scripture. That's why scripture says it, you have to do the akarma. Don't go with the karma, vikarma. So always go to the akarma. Sorry, karma, akarma, and the vikarma, right? So do the activities centric to the Lord Krishna. So I'll go a little further. So the first thing a living entity should do is atatho brahma jigyasa, like the introspective nature. So without inquiry about the supreme of the transcendence, one cannot give up attachment for this material world. By the evolutionary process, 8.4 million species of life, one cannot understand the ultimate goal of life because in all the species of life, the bodily conception is very prominent. Atato Brahma Jigyansa means that in order to get out of this bodily conception, one has to increase attachment or do inquiry about Brahman. So then he can be situated in the transcendental devotional service. Saravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Paranam. So like Brahma Jigyansa, human soul think about who am I, why I'm here, what's the purpose of my life, how to get out of this material world. So that's called Atattha Brahma Jigyansa. So then the false ego means by existence is my body. So if you think this is my body, this is my hand, this is my leg, this is my family, that's called false ego. What's the real ego is that? The real ego means I am not this body, but I am the spirit soul and I'm the spiritual servant of Lord Krishna. Okay. So we are the Amsa or the minute particles of the Supreme Lord. That's what Krishna said. Mamaivanso jiva loke jiva bhutaha sanatana. The living entity actually in this condition world are my eternal fragment parts. Due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes the mind, right? So as this sloka, so I'm concluding now. So as this sloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we just talked about text 11 and 12. Basically, the sloka takes away, the takeaway is that the human form of life is very precious. As we can, because we have the discriminative power, what is good, what is bad, the animal soul that doesn't have. So that's why we should be introspective and then become surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, so that he will never, so that we will never again goes to another mother's womb, right? So then the whole material universe is like the whole material universe, as in this scripture mentioned, is like a great ocean of misery, the material existence we are living on. On ocean of birth and death, this material world is. In order to cross this great ocean of nations, a strong boat is needed, and that strong boat is the lotus feet of Krishna. We should immediately get aboard in that boat or get boarded in that boat. We should not hesitate, thinking that Krishna's feet are very small. The whole universe is simply resting on his leg. For one who takes shelter of his feet, it is said that the material universe is no more significant than a huddle of water found in a impression of a calf's hoof print. So, right, the material world will be very small to cross over is like the calf's hoof print. There is certainly no difficulty in crossing over such a small portal. So I'll stop here. I'll conclude here. So please forgive me if I made any mistake. Thanks everyone.